Here's a story. This is sort of a joke. I don't know if it's true. It could be that it's true. The purpose of this joke is to show this week's Torah portion. It begins with Pinchas. Pinchas, he became a Kohen. Pinchas became a Kohen, but he wasn't born a Kohen. Really, the only person that can be a Kohen is a person who was born to be a Kohen, and he was not born a Kohen. For whatever reason it was, he wasn't born to be a Kohen. The Kohanim were made after he was born. He wasn't born a Kohen. So, okay, here's a joke. A man comes in to a rabbi, and he said, Rabbi, I want to be a Kohen. So the rabbi said, excuse me? I want you to make me into be a Kohen. I'm willing to pay. So the rabbi said, listen, this is an Orthodox synagogue. We go according to the Torah here. You can't just buy, a Kohen. You can't buy being a Kohen. That's ridiculous. If you want to buy a room, we can give you a room. We can make a plaque for you on this. You want to be an honorary member of the synagogue. Okay, but we can't make you come. So listen, Rabbi, I'm prepared to pay $1,000. So Rabbi said, listen, Judaism is not for sale. You can't just buy a coin. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you to leave. So, Rabbi, listen, I'm willing to give $10,000. Rabbi says, listen, it's not a matter of money. We can't sell. This is not a store over here where you can sell a coin. I'm willing to give $100,000. It says $100,000. We really need the money for the synagogue. We have to we have to make it bigger. We'll make a big plaque for you. We cannot do it. Says, Rabbi, listen, I'm willing to give you $1 million to the synagogue. The rabbi says, $1 million? Synagogue? Yes. Says, well, let me think about it. Give me your name and your address and etc. And which bank do you have? The bank, I'll tell you my. So just one moment. Wait right here. The rabbi goes into his study, back into his study, calls up the bank. Hello, this is the bank. I got a guy over here called Joe Gross. His number is this. His bank account number is he rich? He's a rich man, Mr. Gross. Of course, he's one of our best companies, customers. He has millions in the bank, millions in the bank. If he writes me a check for $1 million, of course, no problem. He goes back, Mr. Gross, we've got a deal. We've got a deal. We're going to make you into a Kohen. And so the rabbi talks it over, says, what are they going to do? They'll make him an honorary Kohen. They'll give him a plaque, a medallion tied around his neck, and they'll give him a certificate. He is an honorary Kohen, a quasi Kohen, a semi Kohen, something like that, so that everybody will see, any religious person will see. And this is, it's sort of like a Kohen. So they gave it to him. The next day, the person comes, this Mr. Grois. He comes and he says, and he's so happy. He brings out a little band with him, a couple of players, and he brings food, kosher food, kosher food. He asks him, and he brings a photographer, and he makes him the coin. He gives him this thing, and he's crying and he's weeping. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you. And everybody's taking his hand, shaking his hand, and he's hugging him. We're so happy for you and happy for you. So afterwards, he's left, writes the rabbi a big check, gives the check, takes a big picture of him and the rabbi, with the check. And the rabbi immediately puts the check into sends his man to the bank, puts it in his account. As soon as it goes into the account, takes this Mr. Grois aside and he says, listen, Mr. Grois, I want to ask you a question. Why in the world is it so important for you to be a Kohen? What does it make to be a Kohen? You're really $1 million to be a Kohen. I mean, listen, I'm happy, So Mr. Kohen said, well, listen, my grandfather was a Kohen. My father was a Kohen. I also want to be a Kohen. Okay, what's the point of the joke? A person that doesn't know a little bit about Judaism, a Kohen is a person whose father was a Kohen. That goes all the way back to Moses. It was carried. So if your grandfather is a Kohen and his son, your father, or a grandson, if he's a Kohen, it means you're automatically a Kohen. You don't have to pay anything. You're automatically a Kohen. So this man came and he didn't know that. He says, my father was a Kohen, my grandfather was a Kohen, and I want to be a Kohen, pay money. Okay, what's the point of the story? The point of the story is that we're Jews. We're already Jews. If your mother was a Jew, then you're a Jew. You don't have to do anything more to become a Jew than that. But you do have to express your Judaism. That's a different thing. That means identity. You have to know what are the implications of being a Jew. What does it mean to be a Jew? What does that obligate you to do? So if a person knows what his obligations are to be a Jew, so that makes life a little more clear. The same thing as Mr. Groys. If you would know what exactly a Kohen is, it would make things a little clearer, and he would have saved $1 million. Have a good day with Mashiach now, and see you all tomorrow. Shalom Uvracha.